Hey, what's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another awesome plasticity class with me, Ken. Now, I want to show you how to model some knurled bolts. And as you can see, I have several types of them, from the easiest or from the most basic to the most complicated. So how do we do that? So go ahead and open up Plasticity and let's get down to it. And just a quick note as we begin, if I hit Control, comma, as you can see, I'm using the Blender navigation preset. That means the shortcut keys I will use are the same as the Blender shortcut keys. Now, you might be wondering, how did I get this in here? This is just a reference image. So if I just delete it, first of all, let me hit 1 on the numpad to switch to the front orthographic view. And now I want to open up my Windows Explorer and go directly where I have my reference images, and all I have to do is drop that in there, and there we go. So I'll just hit S twice to scale it freestyle up to that point, then G and drag it upwards in the Z axis. I just want to have a reference inside Plasticity. Of course, the first thing you need to know is what size of a bolt do you want. So switching to the top view with 7 on the numpad, I'm going to select the center circle, and I'm going to start drawing from the center, and I want to make it maybe 1 centimeter, which is 10 millimeters. So 10, oh wait, 7 to the top. Then in order to edit the measurement, I have to hit tab, then 10 millimeters, which makes it 1 centimeter in diameter, then click, and there we go. Then I select inside the circle, hit 1 on the numpad to switch to the front view because I want to zoom in using my mouse wheel, and I'll drag this upwards up to maybe 10 millimeters, which will mean the head has a height of 1 centimeter. Enter, and there we go. Right click outside. So now I can get rid of this circle, delete. Now, if I hold down Control and hold down the middle mouse wheel and pull back my mouse, I'll zoom out. If I hold down Shift and the middle mouse button, I can pan around. I want us to see this. So hold down the middle mouse button alone to orbit. And as you can see, we have this chamfer on the top and bottom. So zooming in, I'll select this edge. So I can select the edge by first of all selecting the solid. If all these are activated, first of all select the solid and then target the edge. Or I can just go directly to the edge mode and go to select edges directly. So I'll select that edge, hold down Shift, select this other edge. And now if I hit number 1 on the numpad to switch to the front view, I can give it a chamfer. Maybe that size. Let's say maybe negative 1 millimeter. So we're just making the chamfer 1 millimeter in size. So at least we have the first step. How do we create this? Let's start with that. I'll hit 1 on the numpad again to switch to the front orthographic view. Hold down Shift and middle mouse wheel to pan and position it. Now I'll select this line tool and I'll come here. This is the center. As you can see, it's snapping, and if it's not snapping, make sure you have your snapping enabled. Object snapping. Object snaps to edges and all these. Make sure all these are checked. So if I go back here while still having that tool, I'll select that, draw a vertical line and snap to this other middle of that circle. There we go. And now while it's still selected, I'm going to hit P for pipe to make it a pipe, and I'm going to increase the number of vertex count to 3, then select outside the field to make it a triangle. let me switch to the top orthographic view with the 7 on the numpad. And now as you can see, it's facing outwards. We want it to face the other direction. So I'll change this angle gradually. Let's see, can it be, let's say 180. And now we've rotated it 180 degrees to face the opposite side. Right click outside. Let me just pull it outwards a little bit up to that spot. All right, that's a nice tentative place to leave it. Right click. While it's still selected, I'll hit SZ to scale it up vertically. There we go. And I want to have a look at it and see where this ends. Right click, then I'll hit G to drag it outwards a little bit because I don't want it to be too sunken into or too embedded into the main body. Now with that, I think we have a basic shape we can use to create the knurls. So I'll hit tab to activate all these to allow me to select this as an object, as a solid. I'll hit 7 on the numpad to switch to the top view. And then I'll use the radial array tool. Select that and snap to the center. Select that. And let's increase the number to, let's say that point. I think that's a nice spot. Right click outside and right click or click anywhere outside here in the world. So now we can select the main body, switch, rotate a little bit to allow us to select all these, holding down shift and dragging your mouse, and then hit Q for Boolean. There we go. So automatically it's on the difference, and that's what we want. Right click, and there we go. So if I hold down Control and middle mouse wheel to zoom out by pulling my mouse, or if I hit 1 on the numpad, here we go. I'll select the curve and delete it, and we have ourselves a nice head we can use. Now with that, we have the head, but remember, we want to make it a bolt. I'll show you how to make it a bolt. But before we get there, I want to show you how to create this other type of knurls. So if I select this body, G across, let's just put it right there. Switch to the top view once again. And I want to select the center circle tool again. You know the drill. Hit tab to enter 10 millimeters manually. Select that. Switch to the front view with 1 on the numpad. Then let's pull this upwards and let's input 10 millimeters manually in there to make it 10 millimeters. And this time I'm not going to delete this circle because we might need it to extrude another body like this for this. So I'll just hide the curve like that. Now, as usual, I'll switch to edge, select this edge, hold down shift, select this edge, switch to 1 on the numpad to front orthographic view, then drag that inwards. I'll make this -1 millimeter. There we go. So now to create these slanted knurls, we're going to use the line tool once again. I'll come up to this point. Maybe I'll use that spot. Let's do something, because I want this distance from here to where we'll start our curve to be the same distance as here to where we'll put our curve. So I want to draw a square here just to help us achieve that. CC. and let's say I want that distance G Z. Let's right click SZ to make it taller, because what I want is to be able to now see exactly this spot, touch that spot, and come and touch that spot right there. Right click to commit, select this, delete it. I'll select this new curve, rotate with the middle mouse wheel, and now what I want to do this time is G and drag this backwards. Then I'll hit Shift I to imprint the curve onto this surface, onto this face, and then I'll select the face because we've already hit Shift I. Now select the face and you've imprinted it. Right click to commit. Now let's select this, delete. I'll select this curve now and Shift D. What we've done is create a curve from that edge. Let me undo. Let me just delete that. Currently what we have here is just an edge on a body. It's not a curve, it's just an edge cutting the body. But if I select it and Shift D, then right click, that's the same as creating a curve from the edge. But the good thing about it is it takes the shape of the curve all round, because remember, this is a curved surface. So with that, I'll select the curve we've created. Before we go further, I just want to select tab to activate all these four, because I want to select this solid. Hit the dot on your keyboard to isolate the body, hide everything else except the body. And then I want to hit FRED for redundant to remove redundant topology. I don't want that edge there anymore. Now I'll hit the dot again or full stop on my keyboard to unhide everything or to unisolate. Now we're left with this curve. I'll hit P once again as usual. And before we go far, all right, let's just turn it into, let's increase the vertex count to 3 there, just like that. And I think it's even facing the right direction. Let's switch to the top view with 7 on the numpad. I think it's facing the right direction. If I hit Control and 7 on the numpad, we're going to view it upside down. I want to see it from the bottom. Yeah, I think we're viewing it. I think it's well positioned. If we view it from the side by hitting 3 on the numpad. Yeah. So now all we have to do is, first of all, switch to 3 face select mode, and I want to select this face, rotate and hold down Shift to select this other face. And if I pull this, we're going to increase the height because I wanted it to go beyond that. Hit tab to activate all those, so to be able to select this as a solid. Then I'll hit G, then move it in the Z axis slightly outwards, maybe up to that spot. There we go. And now, as usual, let's go ahead and hit 7 on the numpad. And I feel like this is too big, but let's see. 7 on the numpad, radial array, click there. And I want to rotate it to view it from this angle, because I want to see the distance between these duplicated shapes, because we want to give each crest a flat surface. So I think that's a good spot. I'm going to right click outside, and now if I select the main body, switch to 1, hold down Shift and select all these, hit Q. Let's see what we got. Then right click. So there we go. A nice slanted knurl on our head. So hit 1 on the keyboard and there we go. So now if I hit G and pull this to the side, as you can see, this is the opposite of this. So just make sure the curve you draw is facing the other direction. So we don't need to repeat this. And I want to show you how to make this, and then you can go on to make this. Or maybe let me show you how to make this so you can go on to make this one. All right, let's just go ahead and work on it. So I'll switch to the top view and unhide my circle. There we go. Select the inside, switch to 1 on the numpad for front view. Then I'll type 10 in here. There we go. Hide the circle once again. Switch to edge mode. Select this edge. Hold down shift. Push this inside, inwards. -1 millimeter. Right click outside. So now, if I switch to the front view, as you can see, this here is a combination of horizontal lines and vertical lines. So remember we did this vertical. Now we also need to have a horizontal one. So how do we do that? So let's start with our vertical line curve. Selecting the middle there and snapping to the other part there. In fact, SZ to increase the height. All right, so hit P to pipe it. Let's make this 3. There we go. Let's do the angle to 180 degrees to turn it around 180 degrees. There we go. 7. While this is still selected, I'll go ahead and radial array it just like that. Now as you can see, all our crests are not flat, so if we reduce the number of these just like that, so we have 25. Right click, 1 to switch to the front view. In fact, right click to commit, hit tab to activate these 3 to select this as a solid. 1 on the numpad. Oh wait, we need to hide this curve right here because we can't select it together with these and conduct or perform a boolean, so we have to delete it first. Select that solid, switch to 1 front view, select that, and then Q. Wait, 7 for top view. I don't like the way they're touching the top of the main solid, so undo, Control Z, G, and pull it outwards, maybe up to that spot. Alt Z to view transparent, so I can select this curve and delete it. Alt Z once again to make it opaque. 7, and now we can select this and radial array. Select, then I'll increase this number maybe up to that spot. Right click to commit, and now right click. Since all these are active, I can select this as a solid. Hold down shift to select these others as well, and then Q. There we go. Now to create the horizontal Q, let me just unhide this curve, select it, 1 on the keyboard, Shift D to duplicate it, and I'll pull it upwards, maybe up to that spot. If I switch to the top view, or just rotate it like that, I can hit P, and then let's increase the count here like that, and it's facing inward, so we like it like that. I'll hit 7 on the numpad, and then Alt Z to see where it reaches. I want to see the inner line of this new body. Right click, and then we can increase the diameter, or just SS. Let me switch to the top view to see exactly where it is. SS, escape. Let me zoom in. SS. As you can see, the inner line should be touching the inner part of this deep. I don't know what to call this. But if I right click now, it's right where we want it, because now if I switch to 1, as you can see, this is where the pattern will start. If I hit Shift D, or instead of Shift D, let me delete that. So what I can do is rectangular array. That means we're going to duplicate it several times. I want to pull it up to maybe that spot. And make sure we have this pink line here that shows we're moving in a parallel line to that axis, the Z axis. Let's push it outside a little bit. And you can actually always just click anywhere as long as that parallel line appears. Click anywhere, and you can increase the length here, because I want to position this. In fact, let me pull it up to that point. Select while they're still selected. I'll hit G, Z. Hold down Shift to move in small increments. And I just want to use my eyes to balance what's left here and what's left here. That tells me it's somewhere smack in the middle. Right click that, and I think we have something we can use. So Alt Z, let me select that solid, switch to 1, and I can hold down Shift and select these. Q, right click, and there we go. So that's another different type of knurl. And of course, the pattern and its appearance and the size of each of these sort of heels is going to be determined by how many vertical circles you had there to cut it with. So at least you have an idea of how to come up with as many patterns as you want. Now, what we've done now is vertical and horizontal knurling. As you can see, this one here is a combination of this and this. You first cut your solid with a slant going in this direction, and then add another slant going in this direction and cut it out to get this triangular pattern, while this is more like a square or rectangle. All right, so now that we have that, it's time to create the threads of the nuts or bolts. Yeah, bolts. So I'll select that, G, and put them to the side. Let me select that. Now if I hit 7 on the numpad and zoom in, let's say we want our bolt to be, let's say 5 millimeters, half a centimeter. So tab 5 millimeters, there we go. Select that. Let me hit 1 on the keyboard to switch to the front orthographic view, and then let me pull this downwards. I'll give it that length. Then let me hide the circles, all the curves. With that, I'm going to select this spiral tool, and I'm going to hit, first of all, before we go there, escape, Alt Z to see through your solids. Then now select the spiral. I'll select the bottom dot right there, and then this top dot here. And if you pull outside and snap to the edge here, click, you can now increase the number of turns. I want this to have maybe 12 turns. All right, 12 are okay. So right click, and that's it. Then I'll hit P for pipe. Wait, it says, oh, all right. It says it has self-intersection, because if it's too big, it will say it has self-intersection. So we have to reduce the section size of the pipe. We can Alt Z to make it opaque. Now holding down Shift, we can increase the section size a little bit without intersecting it, maybe up to that point. And now vertex count, let's say 3. There we go. I like that. Then for the angle, let's say 60 degrees. Now it's facing outwards. Let's increase the section size a little bit, holding down Shift and dragging this a little bit further. I like it right there. So now I can right click. I want to select the inner body, Shift D, right click, and then while it's still selected, I'll hit S to scale it, but then I'll hold down Shift Z to scale in all sides except the Z axis. So Shift Z to increase it just like that until it hides the pipe we created. Right click, and then let's hide this for a second. Now I'm going to select the inner body and the pipe we created, and then Q and union it instead of difference, union. Then right click, and then I'll hit Alt H to unhide everything we hid. And now I'll select this. In fact, let me hide these curves, hide all of them. And now I'll select the two bodies, then Q, then we'll go to only the parts that intersect are the parts we want to keep. So right click, and there we go. So we have a thread now. We can switch to edge mode, select this edge and push it inwards. Hold down Shift to move in smaller increments. Why is it moving? Let me just move closer. Holding down Shift, pull it slowly, holding down Shift. All right, it's refused. Select that, hold down up to that point. Yes, 0.1 millimeters. What about negative 0.2 millimeters? It's refusing, so negative 0.1. All right, so the next thing we want to do is, let me hold down Control and middle mouse, pulling the mouse to zoom out. And then I can select, first of all, let me hit Tab to enable all these. I'll select this, Shift to 7, GG to move in freestyle. Hold down Control to snap to the center there, to the center of that other solid. Then click, then right click to commit. And now you have a head and a thread. If I select both of them, let me hit Shift D just to drag a copy of them to the side. Right click. Now I can select this. Oh wait, hit 1 to go to the front. Let me just select this G, Z. And let's maybe put it right there. Hold down Shift to select this. Q, Union, right click. Now you have a solid knurled bolt you can use anywhere. I can select this number 1 on the numpad, Shift D, push this to the side. I'll select this, 7 on the numpad, zoom in. I can hit Alt 7 or I can hit Alt Z to view inside, to view through. G twice to snap to the center of the object below. Click when you snap, right click, switch to the front view with 1. And now this is embedded in there. I want to pull it downwards, so G up to maybe that point. Right click, select both of them, Q twice for union, right click, and now you have another bolt you can 3D print. Yeah. So Alt Z to view it from, to make it opaque. So now we can also give them materials. If we switch to the render mode, we can give them a black color. So I'll hit M for money or material. I'll give it a plastic material. So 0.9 roughness, 0.2 metalness, then maybe 1.3 for the IOR. Then here I can give it 25, 25, 25. If I switch to the front, I'll just drag this GZ. Select all these G and then push them upwards. Right click. Now I can select this reference image and delete it. And I can hide this grid with Shift Alt Z. And now we have our knurled bolts. You can 3D print them and use them in your 3D printed projects. So that's just a quick overview of how to create knurled bolts. Of course, there are other many types of bolts, but my goal with this class was to show you how to use plasticity tools to create something you can 3D print and use in your projects. I hope you learned something new. And of course, this is an ongoing journey where it's you and I. Let's continue this journey together. Another tutorial, another class is coming very soon. I plan on publishing more classes, more tutorials every week, so subscribe to be notified every time something brand new drops. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.